From our Chicago studios, this is the Muslim News on Muslim Network TV. Assalamu alaikum, I'm Samana Siddiqui. Our top story tonight. Canada, the UK, Germany and others issue fresh travel warnings for the US, citing strict immigration policies and passport rule changes. This and more are coming up in today's show. Nobel Peace Prize winner Mairead Maguire has begun a 40-day fast for peace in Gaza. The 81-year-old peace activist from Belfast, Ireland, says her protest is in solidarity with children in Gaza and across the world. Her fast follows recent deadly Israeli airstrikes that shattered a temporary truce between Israel and Hamas that had come into effect in January. Maguire said she was absolutely shocked by the violence and described Israeli policies as inhumane and against international law. She said fasting is her way to demand an end to the violence. She urged American and European leaders to end their complicity in the war. Maguire has campaigned for peace since the 1970s and is co-founder of Peace People, a movement for nonviolence and reconciliation. She began her activism after her niece and two nephews were killed in Northern Ireland during sectarian violence referred to as the Troubles. The era was marked by car bombings, riots, and revenge killings that ran from the late 1960s through the late 1990s. At least 50 Columbia University professors demonstrated outside the gates of the school on Monday. This was to protest funding cuts by the Trump administration and what they criticized as Columbia's conciliatory response. The professors said they hope to be the vanguard of a resistance movement among academics. President Donald Trump has revoked approximately $400 million in federal funding to the school. This was for what he says is its mishandling of campus protests against Israel's genocide in Gaza last year. The Trump administration has demanded several changes to reverse the funding cut. This includes that Columbia implement rules for protests, ban masks, and empower its law enforcement. It has also demanded that the school's Middle Eastern, South Asian, and African Studies department be taken out of the hands of its current leadership. Critics say this last move is a threat to academic freedom from the state. Monday's protesters held up signs with slogans reading "Protect Academic Freedom" and "Columbia Fight Back." Since taking office in January, Trump has threatened to cut federal money to colleges he accuses of tolerating anti-Semitism since the start of Israel's genocide in October 2023. Columbia was the first to see its funding slashed. Two major academic groups in the U.S. are taking the White House to court. The American Association of University Professors and the Middle East Studies Association filed a lawsuit in Boston. They accused the former Biden administration of creating a climate of repression on university campuses. The group says students and scholars who speak out for Palestine are being unfairly targeted. They warn this crackdown could silence broader dissent in higher education and beyond. The lawsuit follows the arrest of two international scholars, Mahmoud Khalil, a Syrian-born Palestinian and former Columbia University student, and Badr Khan Suri, an Indian postdoctoral researcher at Georgetown University. They are both in detention. They were vocal supporters of the Palestinian cause. Now the U.S. government is trying to deport them. Lawyers argue the deportation efforts are unlawful and politically motivated. The case has sparked fears of growing censorship on U.S. campuses. Critics say the move threatens free speech rights guaranteed under the Constitution. Observers note the legal battle could shape how far the government can go in targeting free Palestine activism in American universities. Canada, the UK, Germany, Finland, and Denmark have issued fresh travel advisories for their citizens visiting the United States. They have asked travelers to strictly follow and stay updated on U.S. entry and visa rules to avoid detention or deportation. The Trump administration's tough stance on immigration is believed to be behind the move. This has led to the detention of several European travelers on arrival. Some were even sent back despite valid travel documents. Advisories also flagged changes to U.S. passport policies for transgender, intersex, and non-binary people. The State Department has suspended the option to choose an X-gender marker on passports. Authorities from these countries say the situation has become unpredictable. They are urging citizens to cooperate fully with U.S. officials at all entry points. Travelers are being advised to carry complete documentation and be prepared for additional questioning. The warnings reflect growing global concerns over U.S. border policies. Officials suggest checking embassy websites for the latest travel guidance before flying. A Columbia University student is suing the Trump administration for trying to deport her. 21-year-old Yuan So Chung, a legal U.S. resident, joined Free Palestine protests on campus. She says the U.S. government is revoking her status unfairly. Immigration and Customs Enforcement issued an arrest warrant and has moved to deport her. Chung calls it a shocking overreach and a violation of her rights. Her case is part of a wider crackdown on Free Palestine activists. Earlier, another Columbia graduate, Mahmoud Khalil, was arrested and stripped of his green card. Critics say the deportations target peaceful dissent. Experts say the lawsuits are seen as a major test of rights for foreign nationals engaged in protests. The U.S. is facing criticism for refusing to condemn Israel over the deaths of 2 Palestinian journalists in Gaza. At a press briefing, the State Department's Tammy Bruce deflected questions on whether the killings could be considered war crimes. Instead, she blamed Hamas, saying every tragedy in Gaza stems from the group's actions. Bruce stressed continued U.S. support for Israel, claiming the country has the right to defend itself. Israel has killed more than 200 journalists in Gaza since October 2023. Al Jazeera reporter Hossam Shabat was killed in an Israeli strike in northern Gaza. In a separate airstrike, Palestine Today TV reporter Mohammed Mansour, his wife and child were killed in Khan Yunis. Gaza's government media office slammed the killings, calling them a brutal crime. It held Israel, the U.S., and Western allies like the U.K., France, and Germany responsible. Since October 2023, more than 60,000 Palestinians, mostly women and children, have been killed in Israel's genocide in Gaza. The International Criminal Court has issued arrest warrants for Israeli leaders. Israel is also facing a genocide case at the International Court of Justice. Nearly 80 Jewish students, faculty, and staff at Harvard University are calling for the release of Palestinian activist Mahmoud Khalil. They have joined nearly 3,000 voices from universities across the U.S. in urging schools to speak out. Khalil, a green card holder and recent Columbia University graduate, was arrested by U.S. immigration agents on March 8th. He helped lead Free Palestine protests at Columbia University last year. Nearly 80 Jewish affiliates at Harvard University, including over 30 faculty members, signed the statement. It strongly rejects the use of accusations of anti-Semitism to silence Palestine supporters. It also calls on universities to end cooperation with federal immigration authorities and to use institutional resources to help secure Khalil's release. As well, the statement demands protection for campus activists from political retaliation. So far, Harvard President Alan Garber has only criticized Trump's decision to cut federal research funding. He has remained mostly silent on Khalil's arrest and other penalties imposed on universities over political issues. Supporters say Khalil is being unfairly targeted for his views and warn of growing attacks on student activism and academic freedom across the country. That's all from our Chicago studios tonight. Thank you for watching Muslim News. We are a community channel dedicated to bringing you stories you can trust. Please like, share, and subscribe to our content. You can also comment to let us know what you think of our coverage. Please donate now by visiting muslimnetwork.tv/donate. For more content, keep watching Muslim Network TV. Salam.